Hey folks, this is Kalani. We have so many things to talk about this week. There's new weather in the game, so many new Transmog options to talk about, Druids will be getting a bunch of new travel forms, and there are a lot of new system updates too. Let's jump right in. First up this week, we have a whole bunch of new cosmetic options making their way into the game, and some of them might actually surprise you. For example, we will finally see some weather effects added back into the game. We haven't had proper weather effects in WoW for far too long, and when you look at some of the newer games coming out, one thing that stands out clear as day are the various incredibly cool weather effects. It might seem small, but it can make a huge difference between feeling like you're just petering around in a video game versus exploring a new world. It really adds to the atmosphere. As of right now, we can expect to see new weather effects implemented in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. You can occasionally see overcast weather with dark skies overhead, and of course it's going to rain. Rain is probably one of the most common weather effects you'd find in a game, and the new implementation is really cool. There's even a nice pitter-patter going on, so it's a nice new visual and some new sound effects as well. You can even hear distant thunder sometimes, which is a nice little bonus. Sadly, this weather does seem kind of rare though, because we've been sat here all day and nothing's happened. You should go pop by Stormwind or Orgrimmar though and try your luck. You never know when the weather might turn. Now these weather effects are actually in the game right now too, so the next time you're just chilling in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, pay attention to the weather and listen out for those cracks of thunder and rain sounds. I hope they expand upon this in the future and bring more and varied weather effects into the game. I know the dev team has made great use of skyboxes in the more recent expansions, but weather effects really can add that extra level. From blizzards in the snowy regions, scorching heat in the desert areas with heat waves going on, heavy rain in the forests, they could add so much. Now moving on, let's talk about some of the other new cosmetics coming with the new patch. Druids will be happy to know that they're going to get 4 new travel forms to play around with, and each form has 2 different colours you can unlock. You'll be able to turn into a sparkly Arden moth. There's a darker colour and a lighter colour. The change affects both the body of the moth and their wing colours, which is really cool. There's also a new raven travel form. One is a black raven and the other is a blue raven with some purple undertones. This is probably the one I'm most excited for personally because I love the bird forms, but being a troll druid most of the time, I never got the opportunity to use one. But there is also going to be a new bat form that you can use. One colour is pinky purple, pretty much just flesh coloured for the most part, and the other is a darker option for those druids out there who just want to skulk around in the shadows. And then the last new form is a ground travel form, and it's going to be a rune stag. So if you've been wandering around Ardenweald recently wishing you could turn into one of those awesome looking stags, well, now you can. There are 2 options, as with the other forms, with slight colour differences. The coolest thing about all of these travel forms is that none of them seem to be locked to anything at all. Up until now, your travel forms have been strictly locked depending on what race you are, with the exception of the travel forms unlocked in Legion. These new forms let you pick between a moth, raven, bat, or rune stag, regardless of what your race travel form is, which is amazing in my opinion. I always wanted to have that bird travel form as a troll druid, and I can finally make that happen. As for where you can get these forms, it looks like they're all going to come from the inscription profession. There are new techniques to learn these marks of the travel form, and using these marks will unlock the new form in the barbershop, so you can pop back to any barber and change up your travel form options whenever you want. There will also be new soul shapes to look forward to for every Night Fae player out there, including the ability to soul shape into critters. There are currently 21 new soul shapes data mined for 915, but sadly we don't have models for most of them just yet. We can still go through the list though and show you how soul shapes will work differently when compared to critter shapes. So the new soul shape list as of right now contains the Owl Soul, the Boar Soul, the Cloud Serpent Soul, the Yormonger Soul, Spore Bat Soul, Eagle Soul, Alpaca Soul, Ram Soul, Goat Soul, Saurid Soul, Frog Soul, Sauralisk Hatchling Soul, Prairie Dog Soul, Cricket Soul, Porcupine Soul, Snake Soul, Rat Soul, Bunny Soul, Cat Soul, Otter Soul, and Chicken Soul. That's a lot of shapes to collect, but quite a few of those are going to be critter shapes, so how exactly does that work? Well, there's going to be another soul shape NPC to talk to. You can still do the usual stuff with Lady Moon. She will handle your soul shape choice. But if you pop on over to Chufa, you can also pick a critter shape or remove your critter shape if you don't want to use it anymore. Because critter shapes are limited to rest areas, you will only ever be able to use your critter shape in a rested area like an inn or a sanctuary. So while you have a critter shape active and you are in a rested area, you will turn into your critter shape option when you use the soul shape ability. It's the same ability, same button. It's not going to be anything different. And then when you're outside of a rested area in the world doing quests or whatever else, your soul shape will use your chosen soul shape instead. So no critters out in the world, sadly, but you can freely hang out and chill as a squirrel or a cat or whatever else you want while you're in a rested area. That's not the only new Covenant cosmetics in 915 though, we also have some new toys to look forward to too. All of these toys are rewards from doing your Covenant callings, so one more reason to go back and actually do some of those daily tasks if you love to hunt for new toys. Wowhead was able to preview what all of these toys do, so let's take a look. Kyrian players will be able to get the Steward's First Feather toy, which turns your summoned steward into a baby steward, and it looks oh so adorable. The effect will last for the duration of your summoned steward. Night Fae players will be able to collect the Sparkle Wings toy. Using the toy will give you the Night Fae wings, which looks exactly like the sparkly butterfly wings you get when doing various flyover quests in Ardenweald. Very pretty indeed, and the wings will last for 5 minutes. Necrolord players will be able to get the Apprentice Slimemancer's Boots toy. This toy will cause you to leave slime puddles everywhere you walk, and that lasts for 5 minutes. And then Venethia players will be able to get the Tome of Small Sins. You can use this toy in a critter, which will turn it into a soul with a little sin stone. That poor critter heading straight for Revendreth. At least they'll be able to atone for all of their critter sins. And remember that 915 will allow us to change covenants freely as well and unlock all of the cosmetic options when we get to that high level renown, so you could collect every single one of these toys on one character eventually. We also have a lot of new transmog options coming in 915, including new starter gear for pretty much every class in the game. This was a bit unexpected, but not an entirely unwelcome change. I know players have been asking for updated starter sets for a while because the old ones have been in the game forever, and they kinda look like it. Low-res textures, no great detail. I mean, it's super old at this point, what else could you expect? But these new sets look way more up to date, which is a great thing because this is going to be your first impression of World of Warcraft's gear when you first create your character. Some of the older sets definitely didn't set a great example of what to expect, and these new sets fit the various classes quite well. The cloth sets are color-coded per class, which is a nice touch. The leather sets look more like leather, with green for druids and black for the rogues. The mail sets stand apart from the leather a bit more, and you actually have plate starter sets that look like they might protect you from a good bit of damage. It sets the stage better for the class that you've chosen. Now, while these new sets definitely look more up to date when compared to their older counterparts, some of those older pieces are quite unique, and when this patch goes live, there won't be any way to actually obtain those pieces of gear again unless they're repurposed or added back at a later date. For any piece of gear that was only obtainable as the starter gear, well, when it's no longer the starter gear, there's going to be no way to actually get it again. So if you want to hoard or stockpile some of those pieces of gear for transmog purposes, because you actually can't transmog those items, you'd have to wear them physically to get the appearance of them, or for role-playing purposes, or whatever else, you know, you do you, be sure to get the items you want before patch 915 hits live servers, because after that, you won't be able to get them again. While I think adding new starter gear is a good idea, I think it's a bit disappointing that every race will now be using the same gear. Even just looking at warriors as starting races, not on the 915 PTR, you can see there's a variety of gear styles which gave the different races a bit more flavour. But with everyone now wearing the same thing, those lines are getting blurred just a bit more. Though I guess you won't really be wearing that gear for very long either way. What do you think of new starter gear sets? Should the dev team have kept the variety between races, or do you think it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things? Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's not the only new transmog coming our way, we also have a whole bunch of new shoe options. You heard me, shoes. Lots and lots of shoe transmogs. They all look fairly similar in their shape, but they have some rather unique patterns and visuals. There's a set of boots with bones on the front, great for undead or death knights or necromancer vibes. There's a set with a dragon scale pattern in purple, green and red. I wonder if you could even find gear to match these boots right now, but dragon scale boots for anyone who asked for those. There's a set of fur-lined boots as well, just in case some of the holiday skins weren't good enough for you. Now you can get your Uggs on in-game. There's a set of lava-like boots in a few colours. We've got blue lava, green lava, which kind of looks like slime, purple lava, and of course orange-red lava. Yeah, I don't know, you tell me what you do with these ones, I'm not too sure. There's a new set of leather-like boots too, which could actually complete some sets quite well. Those white leather boots are pretty sleek, quite fancy, maybe for some of the higher class sets out there. There's a set of plated boots in a variety of colours too. A bit boring in my opinion, but maybe exactly what you needed for some armoured set you're working on? Who knows? And the last set is basically all metal. WoW had called them Sabatons, so let's roll with that. Definitely not my preferred type of boot model. They end up looking a bit too bulky in my opinion, but I'm sure they could fit well in some plate sets. I'm not too sure who put in the extra large order for new shoes, but someone out there is going to be very happy to have all of these new boot models. Maybe one of these new models will help you complete a set you've been working on but couldn't quite find the right boots. You tell me. And then last on our list of cosmetic updates for this week, getting some of the Covenant-themed gear in the live game should be a bit easier going forward. In a blue post earlier this week, the dev team said the Covenant cosmetic armor that can show up on Korthia dailies should now show up more often. If you're not sure what this is, each Covenant actually has access to a specific recolor of the new 9.1 Covenant set. You know, the one you unlock when you get to level 60 renown? That specific recolor of these sets only comes from completing Korthia daily quests, and only when the piece of gear is actually offered from the quest. So getting your hands on these sets can take a very long time indeed, especially if you don't do the daily quests every single day. This change should increase the chances of those pieces of gear being a reward, therefore increasing the chance of you completing this set sometime before the expansion ends. And then to wrap up this video, let's take a look at some of the changes coming to various systems and UI interfaces with 9.1, starting with something that shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. The spit emotes have been removed from the live game. I know this was a big deal when they removed it from the TBC Classic servers, and honestly it didn't make too much sense to keep it in one version of the game when it was removed from the other, so it was only a matter of time. If the dev team didn't want the spit emote in TBC Classic, they probably didn't want it in the live game either. It's a bit of a weird one in my opinion, because I don't think there's any other emote in the game that has such a negative connotation associated with it. I mean, when is it ever not aggressive to spit on someone? It's also been used in recent years for less than pleasant reasons, so I think the game will be better for its removal. I don't know if it's going to make a big difference at the end of the day, but I also don't think having the emote in the game added anything of value, so good riddance. In a similar vein, there's also going to be an overhaul of the reporting feature in WoW. A recent blue post explains how the upgraded chat reporting feature should work. In 9.1.5, we're adding confirmations for players who report misbehavior in chat, as well as for those who are likely to be reported. When you report a player for verbal harassment or other disruptive chat in-game, we will notify you when action is taken against the player. This is probably the most important addition at the moment. This is how a few other games have implemented their reporting system, and even Overwatch does this. Simply letting you know when someone you have reported has been punished is key for reinforcing the fact that reporting inappropriate behavior actually works and leads to an appropriate outcome. Right now, when you report someone in game, you have no idea if anything ever happens, but when this patch goes live, if someone is swearing up a storm and calling everyone they see the foulest words under the sun, and you report them and get the feedback that something happened, you know that your action actually led to something. It was worth you doing that right-click report. That's going to make you think that reporting does actually work and make you more likely to report that behavior in the future. Multiply that across the entire player base and we might actually see some decent change. There are a few other points here though. When we notice that your behavior has moderately changed for the worse, we will send you a warning message so that you can modify your behavior before receiving a penalty. In cases where acutely inappropriate behavior is observed, the system may skip warning the player and take action immediately. These ones actually read as if the system will be monitoring chat more closely and maybe even take action by itself. I wonder how many times you have to say the F word in chat before you get sent a warning. I can see players testing the boundaries of these updates pretty quickly. I'm also fully expecting to see some weird things happen with the whole skip the warning thing, but we won't have a clear idea of how these changes will work together before it gets implemented for testing. So it looks like the dev team is going to actually take player reporting seriously going forward. I wonder what kind of effect this will have on the player base as a whole, because you hear a lot about how the WoW community can be incredibly toxic, and maybe one of the reasons for that is because no one thinks they'll get punished for it. With new reporting tools and punishments being doled out, maybe that will change. Time will tell. There have also been a few changes made to the upgrade item UI, so the chaps will upgrade your PvP gear, Valor gear, Korthia gear, Covenant gear. Wow, these guys and gals are busy. Are there any others that I missed? We can upgrade a lot of gear these days, can't we? When you plug in a piece of gear to be upgraded, you can see the UI looks a bit more polished. You have the drop-down menu at the top, which lets you pick a rank of the item you want to upgrade to, so you can upgrade items in bulk if you want to, and then the item itself is shown on the left and right with a very clear indication of exactly what will change on that item. Both the new values and the increasing values are shown, and then you have the total cost of the upgrade with a nice centered upgrade button. No new functionality here, but it does look quite a bit tidier in my opinion. There are also some more changes coming to the LFG tool too. In an effort to deliver a fatal blow to the spammers in LFG, you will now need an authenticator attached to your account to actually change any of the information in a looking for group post. So you know how we talked recently about the LFG system changing to autofill in your details for a group you want to make? Like if you have a Mists 14 key and you make a dungeon group and you want to do Mythic Plus, it'll just autofill Mists 14, yeah, boom, done. That is actually all you will be able to do if you don't have an authenticator. You won't be able to change anything about the auto-filled settings. The main reason for this change is that a lot of the LFG spammers who fill up the system typically use stolen or compromised accounts. If you have an authenticator, it is significantly more difficult for someone to steal your account and then use it to spam LFG and annoy everyone else. Personally, I would recommend everyone get an authenticator anyway because it's easy and it's an extra level of protection for all of your virtual goodies. It will now also give you more control over the looking for group tool as well as the other various rewards that were implemented in the past. Hopefully this is another step towards a spam-free LFG tool, but I guess only time will tell. But that's all of the WoW news rounded up for this week, and that's it for this video. What do you think of the new Druid travel forms and new soul shapes? Do you wish the game had more dynamic weather effects? And what kind of weather effects would you love to see added into the game in the future? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to everyone who has subscribed on Twitch. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.